Welcome to the Junior Achievement Elementary Education Training Session. We're so glad you had a chance to take some time out of your busy schedule to learn how to interact with Junior Achievement this year. We know it's a crazy year, but we want to start off with a little video to kind of get you inspired.
This isn't our first time here. As a people, as a nation, but each time, we have found a way to rise above. We've done this by looking forward, by supporting each other, and by taking one step at a time. But more importantly, we've done this by never giving up. As challenging as times are now, we will find a way. We always do. That way, for us, means being there. This coming school year, we will be there for teachers, whether they are in a classroom or teaching virtually. We will be there for our volunteers, whether they are teaching our programs in person, remotely, or through video. We will be there for our supporters, who remain committed to helping our kids envision a brighter future. And we will be there for the young people we serve, no matter what it takes. In these uncertain times, one thing is certain. Together, we can achieve anything.
Nice way to kind of get ourselves ready for our next presentation. We have a nice, concise agenda for you today. But first off, we want to start off with introductions. Who is in this training with you, guiding you through how you interact with Junior Achievement this year? My name is Jake Lasko. I am the district manager of the Roaring Fork Valley. I am the newest member of this team, being at just over a couple of months, but I am a long-term board member and volunteer of Junior Achievement at about 7 years. So I'm excited to be in the role of district manager to help you as educators understand that we are here to bring content to your kids. Next, I'll pass it over to Crystal George in Pueblo.
Hello, thanks, Jake. My name is Crystal George. I'm the district manager for the Pueblo area, and we go all the way down through Trinidad, Canyon City, and La Junta. I am your girl. I have been with Junior Achievement for 7 years now, but like Jake, I started out as a volunteer, and I've been volunteering for about 13 years, so super excited to be here. And I will introduce you to Sherry.
Hey everybody, good to see you. I'm Sherry Albertson and I'm part of the JA Southern Colorado Springs office, but I live up in Woodland Park and I have been the Teller County area coordinator for close to 10 years, and that area includes Woodland Park and Divide, Cripple Creek, Lake George, all of those areas up in the mountain. And I also started out as a JA volunteer back in the late 1990s. So shout out to my elementary school teams.
Thanks, Sherry. And last, we've got Lauren here with us. Lauren, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, everybody. I am Lauren Kunze. I'm the Director of Program Strategy and Partnerships for Junior Achievement of Southern Colorado. I've been with Junior Achievement for just over 6 years now, and I am your girl. If you are in the greater Colorado Springs area, you may also talk to me if you are in the Grand Junction area or if you are in the Gunnison Valley.
Awesome. Thank you, Lauren. So let's talk a little bit more about what we've got going on today. First off, thank you for making a difference. Thank you for allowing JA to be in your classrooms. Many of you are seasoned JA educators and have had us in your classroom in person But one of the things that we want to make sure you know today is how you're going to interact with us, at least in the short term. And for you who are not familiar with JA, JA is talking about inspiring and preparing young people for a successful future. And we have 3 pillars here: financial literacy, work and career readiness, and entrepreneurship. So here's our purpose today. We want to help you feel ready. We want you to know how you connect with us, because there's going to be a lot of questions. There's a lot of the processes that are going to be different. And so we want you to know how to do it and who to talk to when you have questions. But understand that this is not going to go over any of the information that we already provided to you in the educator guide. So again, we're glad you're here, and we kind of thought it'd be nice to open this up a little bit. A couple of us are going to share a lesson that we have learned about money, kind of that first inkling. And I'll start. Growing up, I lived in the Front Range in Littleton, and I remember Saturday mornings, my father and I would get on our bikes and head down the Highline Canal Trail to the local bank, where I would put my allowance money for the week in the bank. But not only would I get the good feeling of the allowance money going into an account that I could spend on something later, I also got to associate it with getting a donut on the way home. So not that I always like to put food and money in the same sentence and a good feeling, but getting a donut from your bank was always kind of fun. Sherry, I'll let you share your story that you have.
Sure. So my money story is that back when I was a Girl Scout, I was able to try my hand at running my own little mini business while being a door-to-door salesperson. And some of you might remember when the Girl Scouts went door to door with their briefcases full of little tidbits to sell to raise money for the troop. We had scented candles and kitchen gadgets and trivets and pot holders. And we also sold the infamous magazine subscriptions. And that experience taught me the value of being able to sell a product and also the benefits of raising funds for nonprofit charities.
Sure, I love that story. I've heard it a couple of times now, and it still doesn't get old, because there is so many different ways that we interact with money and the way we use our money to help others. So thanks. So at this point, I'm going to pass off the agenda to Lauren Kunze so she can start talking to you guys about the steps that you can take this year.
All right. Hello again, all. Thank you, Jake, for that great introduction and for opening it up for all of us. Thank you all again, educators, for being here. Jake just went over the beginning portion of our agenda, which is prepare to be awesome. So we've talked a little bit about what it means to be a JA educator, what's all involved. Now I'm going to share a little bit more about where to find your program materials here, what you're going to do with your students during your sessions, and how we engage volunteers in our programs this year. And then I'm going to hand it off to Crystal George, who's going to talk a little bit more about how to engage volunteers in the JA experience this year, and some tips and tricks that we have thought of along the way and have experienced this spring as we've taken this journey. And then we're going to finally pass it over to Sherry, who's going to talk about how to personalize and practice your program. So how to get all the information that you need to get really comfortable with all of our materials. So I'd like to start with this slide here that gives you a general idea of how JA is going to happen in your classroom this year. So many of you may still be face-to-face with your students. Some of you may be virtual, and you may be a remote teacher and your students are remote as well. Or you may have students who are doing self-guided modules. JA is going to happen in all of those ways. And I'll share a little bit more about what that looks like shortly here. But you're probably wondering who is going to lead JA this year. Typically, it's been our volunteers who've led JA sessions and who have delivered the curriculum in your programs. But due to these unforeseen circumstances and this new way that we're approaching learning, we're opening it up so that there are a lot more options and ways that you can still have junior achievement in your classroom this year. The number one way is to have the volunteer lead. So this year, we're not having volunteers face-to-face in your classroom. So at least through fall here of 2020, at this time it is October of 2020, we'll not have volunteers in the classroom. Future availability of in-person volunteers is going to depend on your school district's rules around that, and then our rules around it as well. But what we can do is have volunteers virtually beam into your classroom. So using a system like we are on Zoom today, or Teams, or whatever video conferencing system you have at your school, we can have volunteers deliver JA programs through that resource. We can also have educators like you lead JA sessions. And in that way, you can have a volunteer who's virtual, who's beaming in a session like this, live stream to your students, or you can have volunteers who record videos in advance, and you can share those with your students either during your scheduled class time or at a later time on their own. And that leads me to the third way that we can engage, engage JA in your lesson plans this year, and that is student guided. So we have lessons that students can do on their own time, and then you as the educator would check in on their progress. So here's another way to think about it. There are 3 different options if students are in person, face-to-face in classrooms. So there is an option 1 of virtual live remote volunteer. So as you can see in this image, the volunteer is remote. They are beaming into a classroom, and then you as the educator would be in classroom with your students. Or option 2, which is a virtual recorded video volunteer in which students can either watch that video in class or watch it at a later time. And then option 3 is where the educator would lead the JA session. So you would lead the session from your JA classroom and have the opportunity to engage either of those volunteer models. But volunteers are always involved. We want to make sure that you still have that resource of that community member who really is the subject matter expert in that area to add that secret sauce that is junior achievement. So when we talk about self-guided, what does that mean? We may have on our digital platform, which is called JA Connect, which I'll show all of you in just a minute here, self-guided activities that students can do on their own time. We may have a recorded video volunteer session, which students can view on their own time with their parent or guardian or on their own time independently. And then we also do have online lessons. So online lesson plans that can be delivered to students where students can self-guide through that process as well. All right, so I bet you were all wondering, where am I going to find all of this stuff? How do I engage with JA? How do I get started? How do I do this? So here are your main resources here, and I'll go through each of these to show you what it looks like when you engage JA through this process. So the first thing you'll want to do to explore all of our program opportunities is to go to our website. So this website here is our website, and that index will give you an idea of what's available for your programs. And then you'll want to go to JA Engage. So for those of you who have been with us before, you may be aware that we are using a platform called JA Engage, where you can track all of your classes. You can see if you have a volunteer that's already signed up for the program, and you can keep your eye on where all your classes are. And then we have the JA Connect Learning Platform. So under Launch here, where it says learn.ja.org, that is where you will go to get to the JA Connect platform. And that is where all of our virtual program lesson plans, activities, games, all of that good stuff is. So I'm going to stop sharing for just a second, and we'll navigate to some of these websites and take a look. All right, I'm going to go backwards to show you. This is our JA website page for programs. So if you are looking for an elementary grade program, like we were talking about today, you'll go to the elementary school tab, and each one of these entries you can click on, and it will show you information about the program. It'll show you which pillars, so which of our pillars, entrepreneurship, financial literacy, or work readiness, this program has the most concentration in. It'll show you what grade levels it's appropriate for, and then what program concepts and skills students are going to be focusing on through that process. We also have a brief and an overview as a part of these pages, where you can kind of get an idea of what is covered and get a more of a layout of each program. Next, I'll show you JA Engage. So again, this is that link that we just looked over. I'll sign in here as an educator. So you'll see, hello, Lauren, but you can also, if you are new, create an account on the right-hand side. So once you sign in, you'll be able to see all of these tabs on the right-hand side. I also have the volunteer tab, but you won't have that. So you can see your classes here in this tab. And you can request a class via this tab right here. So we ask that you fill out all of the fields in this form and be as detailed as possible, please, so that we can get to the type of programs that you are able, you would like to have. Whenever you submit this form to us, whenever you put in the comments, we also receive at the JA office, and we will respond to you as well. There may be other program officers who have different strategies for this, but if you are in the greater Colorado Springs area, you will go to JA Engage. All right, so the next portion is, I will going to navigate back to our slide deck. And you will go to learn.ja.org to access your program materials. So if you are signed up for a virtual program, that is where you will go. You can find your class on the JA Connect platform and retrieve your materials all from that one website. You can use those materials directly in JA Connect, so directly in the learning platform, and you can also transfer them to an existing tool. So if you are in Schoology or if you're in Google Classrooms, you can move all of those materials over to that classroom setting as well. And we also have materials that are printables. So the majority of the program materials that are in the Connect Learning platform are printables or fillable PDFs, which you can distribute to your students if you are in person with your students there. In each program, you have volunteer and educator guides, just like you've had before in paper versions that you're familiar with. You also have lessons and activities for each session. So in all of our program materials, you will have an overview, a list of objectives. You'll notice what preparation time is needed, recommended time for the session. You'll have a note of what materials are to be used in that session, and then step-by-step instructions to go through the program. So I'll show you a little bit more about that. All right, so this is the JA Connect Learning platform. So you will see a page just like this. When you log in, you will put in your login name and your user password. If you've forgotten your password, you can also click this button right here. And when you click on Forgot Password, you can do password retrieval. Because I'm an administrator, I'm going to go to access.ja.org, but you will go to learn.ja.org. On the JA Connect Learning platform, your welcome page will look just like this, and you will have your JA programs on the left-hand side. Because we're discussing elementary programs today, I'm going to take a look at JA Our City. So this will be what your JA Our City or JA Our Nation or JA Our Region program materials will look like. You will have a welcome page and your overview of resources. You'll have a program overview here, which will show you an overview of the JA Our City program. But the most important thing for you all to know is that your guide for volunteers and teachers is found right here. So it's found in Program Overview and Resources. And although this looks like a video that you would play, it's actually a way to download your program guide. So to access your program guide this year, you can either take a look at the QR code or you can click this link that will get you directly to the program guide. So here are all the lesson plans for your JA course. It includes a welcome page, an overview of the program, the structure, course materials, the student materials, all of that. It will give you some options for virtual preparation. This is new. We've not done this before, but these are great tips and tricks for volunteers and educators alike on how to deliver JA content in a learning environment that is virtual. And then you will also have your overview and facilitation instructions each session. So it will look a little bit like this. You'll have your overview of the session materials. You'll have the activities overview. So you can see a breakdown of what all is in each session. And you can make a plan for how you will deliver that in your classroom model. And you'll also have facilitation instructions. So it may have presentation tips like this, and these may be things that you already know as an educator, but keep in mind that all of these instructions are made for volunteers to deliver. So these are just extra tips and tricks for them that you might find to be useful as well. All of the facilitation instructions include scripted language in order for you to deliver this to your students, but you're of course welcome to use whatever language feels most natural in your learning scenario. And what's great about this is that it will also show you what instructions to give out per each slide. So it will show you a picture of the slide that you'll be using. So I'll show you just now. For session 1, you'll go back to your program to JA Connect Learning Platform and click on that session's interactive learning resource. And this looks pretty much the same way that you would download any of the program materials, and you'll launch it just the same way. So here's your slide deck. You can also make it a full screen, so you can share this with your students and go through the materials directly. And you have arrows on the left and right to navigate, and you also have this film strip at the bottom where you can navigate through all of your session slides. So like I was showing you in the program guide, you'll scroll through all of these slides. And you'll have some visual aids. You will have some embedded videos to share with your students. You will have some additional visual aids and vocabulary terms to share with their students. And you may even have some models for how to share the activities that are interactive for your students as well. In this case, in session 1 of JAR City, you additionally have a video with instructions for how to deliver the activity instructions.
A good place to save the money you earn.
For the rest of your materials, they're each found in each drawer. And you also have a pre-survey and a post-survey, which you can find in the overview and resources and the post-program survey dropdown. So that is a very broad overview of the system. We are happy to help you and assist you in finding any additional program materials you need. But those are the majority of the materials that you will use when you first get started with your JA virtual program. So additionally, JA also builds competencies in our 3 pathways. So our 3 pathways, as Jake mentioned earlier in the presentation, are financial literacy, work and career readiness, and entrepreneurship. One important thing to note for elementary educators is that our programs also are made to build upon each other. So for K-5 programs, all of these programs have a bit of financial literacy, work career readiness, and entrepreneurship discussion in them. But what's great about these programs is that they also build upon each other. So if you are a 4th grade educator and you also have a good relationship with the 3rd grade educators, those 3rd grade educators can access Junior Achievement virtual programs and create a framework for your students to build upon before they even come to you in 4th grade as well. So here is a review of all of our JA programs for grades K through 5. A lot of you will be familiar with the programs on the left. JA Ourselves is our kindergarten curriculum. JA Families is for 1st graders. JA Community is for 2nd grade. JA City is a 3rd grade program. JA Region is for 4th grade, and JA Nation is a 5th grade program. You can also request a program that is either a grade level up or a grade level down from what is suggested here if you feel like that is the best option for your classroom community. The other thing that I'll mention about these programs is that right now we have that guide on the side, which I showed you earlier, so that guide that goes with the session slides for grades 3 through 5, so JA City, JA Region, and JA Nation. And we hope to have the kindergarten, 1st grade, and 2nd grade guide on the side programs available here in the next month or 2, so in November or December. Right now, we do have additional program resources for those grades that can be modified for a virtual classroom. All right, the last thing I will say here in this section is that junior achievement also correlates to state standards. So if you are looking for your correlation to state standards, you can find them on the JAUSA website at jausa.ja.org. And then you'll go to the programs tab. There's an additional button on the programs page that says find my JA correlations. And then you will go to the Colorado page for that. All right, now I'm going to hand it over to Crystal George, who's going to talk a little bit more about how to engage virtual volunteers this year.
Thanks, Lauren. That was a lot of information, guys. I know, and it can be a little scary, but we're here to help you, and so is your volunteer. So with that, I just want to talk to you about the best way to engage your volunteer to have a lasting and fun experience with them. So first and foremost, you're going to want to exchange contact information with your volunteer. Seems like that would be the first thing you would do in any instance, but it does get missed sometimes. And especially in this year where we're not going to have physical volunteers in the classroom right away, it's really important to not only get an email address from your volunteer, but to also exchange that phone number with them as well, okay? This takes us out from being the middle person between you. So if you have a question for your volunteer, you can go directly to them instead of having to get a hold of one of us and have one of us get a hold of your volunteer and then get the information back to you. So it does streamline the process quite a bit, and it's a really great way to get to know the volunteers that we're inviting into our classrooms. The next thing you're going to want to do once you start communicating with your volunteer is share your class information. So you're going to want to let them know if you have an in-person class or if you are doing a remote virtual class. Okay. Either way, as you learned before, there's lots of different options for the volunteer to interact with them, but they're definitely gonna want to know if all of the students are going to be on a virtual platform or if they're going to be virtual in front of a classroom of in-person students. Okay, so very, very important. The next would be to share your specifics with the classroom. How is your classroom set up? What video conferencing tool will you be using? Are you going to be interacting via Google Classroom? Are you going to be interacting via Schoology? You know, whatever is going to work for you, we can definitely get our volunteer to interact with you on that. But there is going to be some preparation to make sure that they can access that video conferencing tool. So really important to let them know what platform you're using so that we can make sure that they can connect with you. Okay. The next thing would be how your students should address them. So some volunteers have been in the classroom forever and they may come in and say, hey, call me Miss Angie or call me Miss Smith. But what are your classroom rules? We definitely want you to be comfortable with the volunteer that's going to be interacting with your students. So talk to them about that. If you're comfortable with them saying Miss Angie, fantastic. If you'd rather them be more formal, that is absolutely perfect as well. Just let the volunteer know what you expect from them. That way you guys can be on the same page, okay? And last, are there any specific modifications or special accommodations which they should be aware of? Do you have any English language learners in your classroom? Any special needs students? Also, if there are tips and tricks that you have up your sleeve to keep your kids engaged and get their attention back to you, share those with your volunteer. They're absolutely there to assist you and can help you with any classroom management as long as they know those tricks like class, come back to us, you know, or whatever it may be. So feel free to share those with your volunteer and that will ensure that you guys have a cohesive partnership and that you will have a really fun experience with your volunteers. All right, with that, I believe I'm going to pass it over to Miss Sherry, who will talk about personalizing and practicing your own JA experience.
Thanks, Chris. So the fourth step then is to personalize and practice. We want you to be as comfortable as possible with this new approach to junior achievement. And there are many different things you as a teacher can do to prepare your classroom for JA, particularly if you are pursuing an educator-led course. There are a variety of helpful materials on this JA USA YouTube channel that you see on the screen in front of you. There's volunteer videos, there's videos that explain how to work with the JA materials, what the classroom experience is like in general. And these videos have been very popular with our volunteers over the years, but you as a teacher may not have had a chance to view them yet prior to entering into this new educator-led environment. And then on the next screen, on the next slide, so Lauren was showing you around JA Connect just a little bit ago, but this is a screenshot that you'll see when you look at the JA program resources within JA Connect. which is the learning platform again for the K through 5 elementary school programs like Our Families and one of our favorites, Our City. If we take a closer look at the Our City program, and Lauren's going to switch over to that slide in 5, 4, 3. There it is. Again, she was showing you this earlier. But you'll see again, all of those links to the materials that are right there, like the program overview, the teacher and volunteer materials, the volunteer lesson guide, and again, all of those, the program surveys, the pre and post surveys. There are so many digital and interactive assets available, and you can launch them and easily project them so you can follow along with the materials when you're teaching the students. And there's pre-recorded volunteer resource videos for each lesson for, I think, all of the K through 5 programs. And these are also perfect if you want to use those for your in-class sessions. And again, as Lauren mentioned, the materials are available as fillable PDFs, and you can take those and place those directly into a Google Classroom or a Schoology environment. So we have really tried to provide you with all the materials imaginable that you'll need to success, and they're all right here at your fingertips. So I encourage everyone to go in and just look around, click at will, and find out what's there. And we are always here to help answer any questions you have along the way. So just let us know. Lauren, I think back over to you.
All right, sorry for the dead air space there. So getting back to the agenda, we have discussed, we have introduced all of ourselves to you, discussed the steps to preparation. We've answered hopefully most of your questions, and now we're going to talk a little bit about your impact. So for this section, I'm going to turn it over to Crystal George. She's going to share a little bit more about your impact and then ways to get in touch with JA staff. Crystal.
Awesome. Thanks, Lauren. So you guys are part of something awesome. A lot of you that are watching this video right now have probably had junior achievement in your classroom. If you have, look at these numbers, guys. The number of students we served last year was 8,825 students. For a year that was interrupted towards the end with a national pandemic, I mean, that's huge, right? Over almost 9,000 students, okay? 414 completed classes in Southern Colorado last year. So again, thank you so much. If you've invited junior achievement into your classroom before and have been a part of this experience, we thank you. We could not do this without you. And the number of contact hours last year was just under 47,000 contact hours. So that is contact hours that your students have benefited from junior achievement programming. So they've gotten the financial literacy, they've gotten the work and career readiness, they've gotten that entrepreneurship. So we're really trying to prepare them to have that future, that financially stable future, and you're a huge part of that. So again, thank you guys so much for being part of this. We appreciate you. We couldn't do it without you. For those of you who are new, just take a look at these numbers and know that we are here for you, and we are providing every single resource that we can come up with and pull out of our bag of tricks to help you guys out this year. So thank you again, and hopefully we will be hearing from you soon. With that, we are here for you guys. You can email us, text us, call us, no questions too small. We're here to help. The first line of defense is typically email. We are in weird pandemic times right now, so some of us are working from the office, some of us are working from home, some of us do a hybrid, but we are always available via email no matter where we're at. So that's going to be your first line. We've got Lauren Kunze, as she introduced herself earlier, for the greater Colorado Springs area. Her email address is listed for you. Sherry Albertson, who is going to take over the Teller County, who has been taking over Teller County for the last 10 years for us, there for you via email as well. Jake Lasko, our newest member for the Roaring Fork Valley. Super excited to have Jake on board, and he is so ready to get started and get you all volunteers in the classroom. And then again, my name is Crystal George. I'm the Greater Pueblo and Southeast Colorado area. If you guys are still unsure, you're looking at this and you're like, what the heck is in the Roaring Fork Valley? Or what does Southeast Colorado entail? Or where am I in this? Don't worry. Email all of us. It doesn't matter. We will get back to you and we will get you to the right person. All of us are happy to help. We're all here to be a resource for you. And we are just ready to get you guys going and to prepare you for this wonderful year that we are so excited to get started. So again, thank you guys all so much. You are just amazing, and we love Junior Achievement. We love our students. We love our educators, and we wouldn't be here without you.
Thank you again. And if you have additional feedback for the Junior Achievement team, please email us and let us know, hey, I would really like a training in this particular area. I'd really like a training on how to engage a volunteer in this particular way. Or if you really appreciated this training and you really appreciated a certain part, we love positive feedback as well. Let us know if we should keep doing the things we're doing or if we should focus on different things. We don't know until you tell us. So please get in touch with us. Thank you for spending this time with us. And we look forward to hearing from all of you soon. Take care.